My spiritual companions, welcome to this special night. What a privilege it is to celebrate this time with you. Considering the platform, this Christmas Eve service is unlike any one that we have ever done at the North Shore Unitarian Church. And in some ways, that makes my heart hurt. I wish so much that I could be in person with all of you. Nonetheless, it is beautiful to see so many faces here on Zoom. I am so glad that you chose to join us this evening. Now, tonight is different, but there is also much that is the same. We come together to celebrate in word and song an ancient story. It is the story of new life arriving in a cold season. It is a story of angels sharing an extravagant hope. It is the story of wise people reading the signs of a better future. And so let us enter into that time of hope together. Please note that we will be recording this session and your image may appear when we upload it to YouTube. Also note that there may be some lag time as we transition between elements, so we do ask for your patience this evening. I begin tonight with some words from the poet, Dorothy Soleil. In this night, the stars left their habitual places and kindled wildfire tidings that spread faster than sound. In this night, shepherds left their posts to shout new slogans into each other's clogged ears. In this night, the foxes left their warm burrows and the lion spoke with deliberation. This is the end revolution. In this night, roses fooled the earth and began to bloom in the snow. May that be true in our hearts as well. On this Christmas Eve night, we light our chalice flame and we light our 4 Advent candles of hope, of peace, of joy, and of love. May these lights shine bright on this dark night.
Once in royal David's city stood a lonely cattle shed where a mother weighed her baby in a manger for his bed. So may we, when life turns hard, find in love our stay and guard. Shepherds came to see this wonder and to kneel in holy awe at that lowly stable manger where the infant laid on straw. So may we, this happy morn, honor every child that's born.
From afar 3 magi journeyed to that stable rude and bare, to pay homage to the infant, offering gifts both rich and rare. So may we our gifts bestow, whether we be high or low.
In that happy Christmas spirit, hear the angels from on high sing their ancient salutations. Joy's a gift you cannot buy. So may we, with heart that sings, share the truth this season brings.
A reading from the Gospel of Luke in the Christian Bible. And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And Joseph also went up from Galilee unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, to be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with child. And so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. I suspect that when they were both younger, both Mary and Joseph imagined that what would it be like to become a parent for the first time? They would have envisioned being in familiar surroundings, being enveloped by loved ones with all the care and support that their community could offer. And instead, they found themselves away from home in a situation so far from matching their expectations. But the end result was their firstborn son, new life and all the potential and promise that arrives with it. In a year that none of us could have anticipated, we too find ourselves in unexpected locations. Many of us are away from family, away from that familiar image that we hold of what community and holiday festivities are supposed to look like. And yet, we are together in a brand new way. And we have this night to celebrate the new ways of connecting that we have cultivated and the new skills that we have acquired. Please join me in blessing this moment. Spirit of life and new beginnings, we give thanks for the resilience of this community, for the spiritual practice of beginning again and again and again and again when the unexpected outcome is not what we had anticipated. We give thanks for the acceptance and the grace that we have been able to offer to one another as we each learn and grow in surprising situations. Bless us with a hope that is active and persistent, a hope that we are moving our world and our planet into harmony. Bless us with the energy and the courage to sustain the work of peace and goodwill to all, and wrap us up in the arms of an abiding love that binds us to one another, no matter the distance. May it be so, and amen.
Good evening, everyone. Merry Christmas. My name is Gloria Schneider, and I have been a member of the North Shore Unitarian Church for almost 40 years now. Lucas asked us to participate this evening in giving us some reflections on hope and ask us the question, what does hope look like for us, for me, at this given evening? When I was a little girl, I grew up in a small farm in rural Ohio. And one day when I was probably about 2 years old, as I recall it, I was playing in the front yard with my pet chicken when one of our big roosters came out and began bothering me and began attacking me. Well, my mom in the house heard me screaming and she came running with her broomstick in hand. She beat the rooster off of me and in that process broke its back. Well, the rooster had to be killed, and of course, my mom prepared a large pot of chicken soup afterward. I learned a lot of lessons that day, as I recall, as well as in the following days to come. I became fearful of the chickens. My mom and dad, in trying to alleviate my fears, took me by the hand and walked me back among the chickens and into the chicken coop to gather the eggs. My dad would say to me, Gloria, be patient. Tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow will be different. It is with you to help make it so. And eventually I began to say that to myself. Tomorrow will be better. I will go into that chicken coop. And eventually I did. And so began my lifetime learning about hope, about desire, accompanied by expectation of, or belief in fulfillment, meaning that life offers with courage, determination, and openness. I grew up learning many things that my parents valued, what had meaning in their lives, and what I was expected to do to develop my own life's values, based, of course, on my dad's teachings. He would always tell me, remember your duty. Choose your involvements well. Do what you want and what you need to do. Always know, though, that you must follow through on your commitments. Always do the best you can, and you only have yourself to disappoint. My dad was a simple man. We had a simple life, but we were always involved in the outside world, in the extended family we had, in our community, in the larger world. My horizons expanded as I learned even more about that outside world and the various difficulties that it experienced. I have learned over the years that hope is not optimism. It's not just the idea that anything and everything will turn out okay, but that, as the Czech playwright Václav Havel wrote, hope is a dimension of the spirit. It is not outside us, but it is within us. It's the nature of hope to lift our spirits, even when major disaster and despair threatens to drag us down. It gives us a boost when we feel that we can't go on. It helps us heal with all the ups and downs, large and small, of life. Hope is the fuel and the energy that keeps the world moving forward. Hope doesn't exist on its own. It needs all of us to act. It needs us to do. And as a Unitarian Universalist, my faith is filled with hope. We are a community of hope with deep roots in a courageous past. We're grounded in the present, in the here and now, always looking forward with hope to the future. We have a vision of a better world that is possible, and we're committed to it no matter what we are called to do. So what does hope look like for me tonight? My hope this Christmas Eve 2020 lies simply with the younger generation, those individuals who today across the world are stepping out and are doing such marvelous and wondrous things for our humanity. For example, I think of all the young leaders of the recent Black Lives Matter movement. I think of all the young students at that high school from Florida who have become such outspoken leaders in conversations regarding their gun control safety and gun control laws. I think of young leaders like Malala from Pakistan, who became an activist in the human rights movement, advocating especially for the education of women. I remember and I think often of the Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg, who has become the face of the youth movement for the climate movement. And I think of 15-year-old Jitana Jolly Rowe from Lone Tree, Colorado, an inventor and a young scientist who has used artificial intelligence and created apps to tackle current practical social problems such as contaminated drinking water, cyberbullying, opioid addiction. She has just been named Time Magazine's new and first Kid of the Year. Other finalists along with Gia was Chloe Maya Epsinosis, who's only 16 years old from Newport Beach, California. She's an environmental advocate working to protect our oceans by reducing the number of plastic straws that we use. Or Ryan Hickman, who's only 11, and he is from San Juan Capistrano, California. He too is an environmental advocate, and he is working to spread awareness of the advantages of recycling. And 16-year-old Hannah Jackson from Washington, D.C., who is a criminal justice reform advocate fighting for the rights of those people who are caught up in the prison system today. And 16-year-old Ian McKenna from Austin, Texas, who's committed to providing hunger relief to kids and all their families by growing his own produce in his own gardens and giving it to all of the people in need. And 9-year-old Belen Woodward from Loudoun County, Virginia. She calls herself a crayon activist, highlighting empathy and diversity through the experiences of a child. Her campaign is called the More Than Peach Project, which dominates and donates its own skin-toned colored crayons and multicultural sketchbooks to students and to senior citizens. That list goes on. I find hope through the eyes and minds and hearts and energies of all of these young people who are determined to make a difference in our world. I remember the story. Among the most accomplished and fabled tribes of Africa, no tribe was better at being warriors and more fearsome than intelligent than the Maasai warriors. Their traditional greeting was Kasurim Energy. It means, and how are the children? To this day, it's the common greeting among the Maasai, acknowledging the high value that they always place on their children's well-being. And the hopeful answer to that question is, all the children are well, meaning that life is good, it's in its proper place, it's doing as it should do. It's the best way to determine the future health and the prosperity of any whole society. And so I ask, how are our children today? Well, for the most part, I believe they are well. The people that I spend time paying attention to have, by and large, chosen to bless this world. Given their promise, I am hopeful, and I can still marvel that any heart, no matter how badly broken, still keeps beating. Thank you.
Hi, I'm David Jones, and I have been dating North Shore Unitarian Church for about 2 or 3 years, and I offer my Christmas reflection to you now. Here now, in the suspended, mysterious darkness that some mark as Christmas Eve, others as the winter solstice, nature has much to teach us. This winter has been marked by a disturbing lack of snow, a sign from a planet that continues to warn and chastise us for our hubris, and yet, I hope. The figure of Simeon, the wise old man in the temple, waiting for the Messiah, reminds me that I must endure, that though the light seems to tarry, it will surely break forth, and I will live to see it. The wise men in ancient scripture offered gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh to the child they saw as the coming of a long awaited appearance of that which they called the Son of God. And so I offer gifts both to the non dual reality I believe to be back of all things and to my fellow humans. I offer you the gold of faith. Do not cease to believe in truth and love. These are the sustaining powers, not bread alone, on which the Spirit feeds. I offer you the frankincense of stillness. Those committed to the examined life must make time to shut out the world of form. Do not give in to the funhouse caricatures of life, which tell us that a human's value lies in their profession or their bank account. In stillness, we may honor the divinity within ourselves and in our human beings. I offer you the myrrh of patience. Myrrh is a bitter herb, and the wait for the ark of justice isn't often marked with groaning and tears. But know this, in patience, you will possess your souls. I am the fruit of the patience of my people, and so your children and grandchildren shall be to you. Never cease then to hope with working hands and strong hearts. Hope now, hope always. Thank you.
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria, in excelsis Deo, Shepherds, why this jubilee? Why your joyous strains prolong? What the gladsome tidings be, which inspire your heavenly song? Gloria in excelsis Deo. Come to let the heavens sing in
My name is Kate Daniels. I've been a member of North Shore Unitarian for just over a year. The late, great Chicago legend and oral historian Studs Terkel published a book in 2003 called Hope Dies Last. The title alone has functioned as a kind of visible mantra on my bookshelf for almost 20 years. The book is a compilation of interviews with people from a wide range of backgrounds about how they survive difficult times. Terkel begins the book by saying, "Hope has never trickled down. It has always sprung up." The book's title came from a Mexican farm worker, Jessie de la Cruz. She helped Cesar Chavez organize the farm workers in the 60s. She said, "With us, there's a saying, la esperanza muera última. Hope dies last. You can't lose hope. If you lose hope, you lose everything." End quote. Hope dies last. I think of that phrase a lot. When the rug is pulled out from underneath you, when you suddenly lose a family member or your best friend, when a hurricane or a pandemic comes and wipes out an entire community, when basic civil rights and human rights are in question, when climate change has reached a point of no return, I wonder sometimes what we have, or if we would have anything at all without hope. When Reverend Lucas asked me to reflect on hope, I thought of how this phrase has carried me through the toughest times. Hope dies last. Another thought was something I heard from DeRay McKesson shortly after George Floyd's murder. McKesson is a civil rights activist and a leader in the movement for Black lives. I heard him give a talk on Juneteenth. He said, "Hope is not magic. Hope is work. Hope is work." I wrote it down. In his book, On the Other Side of Freedom, McKesson writes, "When we talk about being hopeful for a future in which Black bodies are not considered weapons, it's so easy to deride hope as a platitude or a nice thought, or even as an enemy of progress. Yet there's another side to hope. Hope can be a driving force." End quote. Hope is work, a driving force. Equity and justice and peace can emerge. Happiness and wholeness can be restored if we put in the work. I'll go further and say hope requires work. It requires action. And I feel hope when I witness others acting. I feel hope when I witness Stacey Abrams, who has devoted years to organizing and strategizing to fight voter suppression and make sure people have their voices heard at the polls. Like Gloria, I feel hope when I hear Greta Thunberg using her voice to challenge global leaders to invest in sustainable technologies and combat climate change. I feel hope when I hear about courageous doctors, nurses, and medical support staff around the world and essential workers who heroically risk their lives to help COVID patients and communities in need. I feel hope when I see dozens of members of this congregation committing hours every month to our Heart of Anti-Racism program. I feel hope with my nieces in school for immunology and environmental studies, wanting to be a part of efforts that save people's lives and protect the health of our planet. I feel hope when my partner Nathan and I ceremoniously harvest our first poblano pepper of the season, a cherished fruit of our labor. May we all take action and do the work that brings hope and bears fruit. May we all inspire hope in others. May we all be hopeful this Christmas.
Hi, Merry Christmas, everyone. I'm Carla Mans-Giroux, and I have been a member of NSUC for 22 and a half years. What does hope look like for me on this night? Well, tonight and every night, hope is vital to me. Having hope means I can embrace my life. You see, I was faced with a very frightening diagnosis of metastatic cancer, which can truly leave one feeling that all hope is lost. When I heard the dreadful words, "You have metastatic breast cancer," I feared I didn't have much time left to live. That was an exceedingly difficult thought to wrap my head around. I realized my time will come, but death is so hard to grapple with at any age. And I had so much living yet to do. I had 2 sons who were just reaching young adulthood, who had many milestones yet to achieve and many things to make me proud of. I wanted to be there for all those milestones, and then for those of my as yet unimagined grandchildren. Wikipedia tells us that hope is an optimistic state of mind that is based on an expectation of positive outcomes with respect to events and circumstances in one's life or the world at large. Hope is especially necessary when faced with the diagnosis of a terminal or chronic disease. The medical world does not always provide a lot of hope with the grim statistics and the dire prognoses they like to cite. I was lucky. My doctor did not give me the dark side of the diagnosis. He told me it was a chronic disease I could manage. That gave me all the hope I needed. Hope looks like health and longevity to me. It has always been about believing that I can overcome that diagnosis. It is about making plans to celebrate my 100th birthday, as I have always planned to do. To me, hope is about living my life out loud with zest and passion for all that I do. It's about looking forward to a long and happy life. For me, hope is also about inspiring others to believe that overcoming a diagnosis is possible. Sharing my story of hope and healing inspires others to believe it is possible. And doesn't it all start with believing? We must first believe we can heal before we will. And that belief starts with hope. A spark of hope is all it takes to start believing in something more and better. A better outcome, a better situation, a better opportunity. We all need hope, especially this year. Perhaps you've seen the poem on social media. It's too long to read, but here's the piece I like. Christmas is not canceled, and neither is hope. If we lean on each other, I know we can cope. Without hope, what do we have? Hopelessness and despair, and that is certainly no way to live. Hope helps us all look forward to and make plans for our future. We all want certain situations and events to go well or to improve. That is hope. Can you imagine living without hope? I cannot. Tonight and every night, hope looks like health and longevity to me. Thank you.